Hi, I'm John Maxwell. When the top companies in the world are looking for trainers, speakers, and coaches, there's one name that stands above the rest, and that's Maxwell Leadership. Our certified team members have gotten proven results for companies all over the globe, and our reputation, I'm proud to say, is second to none. Some of our members have risen to the top of their profession, including the one you're going to meet today. I proudly introduce you to my friend Bob Fabian Zinka.
Welcome to the Leadership and Success Podcast with your host, Coach BZ, where we help you lead with purpose and succeed with impact. If you're ready to grow into the kind of leader others want to follow, this podcast is for you. If you're determined to elevate your success and leave a lasting legacy, this podcast is for you. As my mentor, Dr. John C. Maxwell reminds us, everything rises and falls on leadership. Our goal is simple: to inspire you, challenge you, and equip you with insights that can transform the trajectory of your leadership journey. Welcome aboard to another episode of the Leadership and Success Podcast with Coach BZ.
The 2018 Distinguished Alumnus of the Year is Lieutenant General Larry Wyche, class of 1983.
I've known Larry for over 18 years. In fact, we were born and raised in the same area of Virginia. I served with him first at Fort Hood, Texas, and Larry was a battalion commander in the 4th Infantry Division.
Before his retirement, Lieutenant General Wyche directed a significant portion of the Department of Defense's sustainment effort, overseeing the Army's organic industrial base, including arsenals, maintenance depots, and manufacturing plants.
When it comes to logistics, he's an expert. I trust his judgment. I've watched firsthand his ability to solve complex logistics problems. And I don't care where the problem is, he knows how to get there, get it fixed, and get it done on time with the end result of supporting soldiers on the ground.
By the end of his career, he presided over the day-to-day operations of a $58 billion logistics enterprise, employing a workforce of over 120,000 soldiers, Defense Department civilians, and contractors. It was a presence that impacted all 50 states in over 150 countries.
He has a great story about when he was a college student here, about how he almost dropped out of college, and it was the university president that helped him continue on that semester, which ended up being he graduated commissioned and did great things and became a lieutenant general. So I think his impact to the students, this school, is great, and he's involved with this community as well as the university and this program.
Over the course of his career, Wyche served as Deputy Chief of Staff for Operations, Brigadier General, and Director for Strategy and Integration.
I've known Larry and Denise, like I said, over the years. They are an outstanding couple. They've raised 3 outstanding children. Their son today is serving in overseas in the military. He's a great American. He's dedicated to this country. He's dedicated to the military services, and he's just an outstanding.
All right, we have a very special guest waiting for us in the green room. And before I bring him on, I would like to just take a moment for what we call a moment of gratitude. This is where we take a moment to be grateful. And part of the reason why we do this is because in the military, it's about 21, 22 veterans and service members who commit suicide every single day. And here we believe that it's not possible to be suicidal and be grateful at the very same time. And many people in the military also suffer from PTSD, including myself. And it's really, really important to have those moments where you are positive and you are grateful with what you have and think about things that you can control. So if you would please maybe close your eyes and put yourself in your happy place and think about just one thing you are grateful for in this moment right now. What are you grateful for? And to me, I am really grateful for freedom, but also for people like our future guest today, on whose shoulders we really stand, right? People who have come before us and who have given so much to this country and who have been a role model and a shining example for those who will follow after them. So let us know in the comment what you are grateful for. Let us know where you are joining us from, what city, what state, and if you are coming from another country, which country as well. And if you do have a question for the general, type it in the comment and we will be answering your question live. So without any further ado, let me see if I can properly introduce the general. I'm truly honored and privileged to welcome Lieutenant General Larry Wyche, U.S. Army retired, one of America's most distinguished military logistician, leadership expert, and executive coaches. General Wyche's extraordinary journey began in 1975 when he enlisted in the U.S. Army as a 17-year-old private. Can you believe that? From E1 to General. Well, Cavalry Scout, right? Over the next 42 years, he rose through the enlisted and officer ranks to become a 3-star general and deputy commanding general of the U.S. Army Materiel Command, leading a $58 billion global logistic enterprise with more than 120,000 soldiers, civilian, and contractors supporting operations around the world. And throughout this remarkable career, General Wyche became known not only for delivering mission success, but also for developing leaders, caring deeply for soldiers, and never forgetting his enlisted roots. He famously wore his sergeant rank insignia beneath his general officer's uniform as a daily reminder of where he began and who he served. I must tell you, I used to be an E1 myself. I'm a commander now, and one of the medal I really cherish the most is the Good Conduct Medal, because officers don't get it. They expect it to always have good conduct. But when you are enlisted, you get that good medal, and it's good conduct medal. It really means the world. It's like every 3 years you are eligible for it. But anyway, today the general continues to impact organization worldwide as an executive leadership coach, board director, consultant, keynote speaker, and best-selling author of Shirts Off Our Backs, Boots Off Our Feet, How Leadership Enable Logistic and Supply Chain Execution and Gives You the Edge to Win. And we're going to have a very, very special announcement about an upcoming book. Just stay tuned until the end. Part of what you're going to be learning today is how servant leadership helps one soldier rise from private to 3-star general. Wow. Only in America. And also practical leadership lesson for military officer, executive entrepreneur, and emerging leader. So, ladies and gentlemen, without any further ado, please help me welcome to the Leadership and Success Podcast, the one and only General Larry Wyche. And best-selling author of Shirts Off Our Backs, Boots Off Our Feet, Our Leadership Enable Logistic and Supply Chain
hear me, sir?
And Gives You the Edge to Win. And we're going to have a very, very special announcement about an upcoming book. Just stay tuned until the end. Part of what you're going to be learning today is how servant leadership helps one soldier rise from private to 3-star general. Wow. Only in America. And also practical leadership lesson for military officer, executive entrepreneur, and emerging leader. So, ladies and gentlemen, without any further ado, please help me welcome to the Leadership and Success Podcast, the one and only General Larry Wyche. The best-selling author of Shirts Off Our Backs, Boots Off Our Feet, Our Leadership.
Sir, can you hear me, sir?
And gives you the edge to win. So we're gonna have a
Can you hear me, BZ?
Yes, I can hear you now, but I cannot see you, sir.
I can't hear you.
I think you need to turn on your camera on your phone.
So
If you click on the okay, it looks like he's going to come back. I'm gonna be able to remove this from the recording. Let's give him a minute to come back. I love doing this podcast live. This is a lot of fun. Let's give the general just 1 minute. All right. While we wait for the general, he was already a friend in the spotlight. That's an article I write every Friday. I choose a member of my network and I put the spotlight on them. And I'm hoping that the 67,000+ people who follow me on LinkedIn are going to be able to go on his page and endorse his skills and read more about his post. Okay, here we go. The general is...
Can you hear me, BZ?
Yes, sir. I can hear you now, and I can see you also. Fantastic.
I can't hear you.
Hold on. Let me make sure. Okay.
Wait for the general.
Can you? You may need to
turn down the
Friday,
volume.
I choose a member of my network and I put the spotlight on them. And I'm hoping that the 67 plus thousand people who follow me on LinkedIn are going to be able to go on this page and
Can you hear me now?
endorse his skills and read more about this post. Okay, here we go. The general is.
Can you hear me, BZ?
Yes, sir. I can hear you now, and I can see you also. Fantastic.
I can't hear you.
Hold on. Let me make sure. Okay. Wait for the general. Can you? You may need to turn down the volume. I choose a member of my network, and I put the spotlight on them, and I'm hoping that.
What I will do, BZ, I would just.
We had this. We were in the green room right before the show, and it was working just fine. Let me give him a call.
And I'm gonna turn this phone off. Okay, thank you.
All right, sir. Can you hear me now?
Can you hear me now?
Yes, sir. I can hear you loud and clear. Can you hear me also? Sir, can you hear me?
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
You can hear me?
Yes, yes.
I can't hear you.
Hold on, just 1 second, sir.
Yes. Yeah. Yes. Settings. Okay. Okay. Settings. I'm on settings and okay. I'm looking for audio. Is it under general settings? Okay, I see autofill date. I don't see audio. I see accessibility. Okay, I clicked on the settings icon. Audio. Yeah. I see. Okay, I see access, appearance, Apple Intelligence, Control Center. I don't see audio, BZ. I see general. Yeah. I see the settings. So you go back to that screen. General video. This is crazy. Okay, wait a second. General. I see extra camera, screen camera, presentation. No, I can just go to my iPhone and use my iPhone if you want me to. Yeah, it worked perfectly. So I'm looking at you right now, and you can see me talking on the phone. Right. I see the camera. Okay, I see settings. I see settings. I see settings now. I see, yeah, go to audio. I do see that. I just did.
Can you hear me now, sir?
I hear you perfectly.
Okay. And now one more thing we need to change on your camera. You need to change from your iPhone to FaceTime high definition.
So go to my iPhone now.
No. On your screen under the camera right now, it is using your iPhone, and you need to change it to your FaceTime high definition camera. That's going to be your computer.
I see. You see, a host wants to change your camera to FaceTime.
Yes, that is what we need to do now. Here we go. Yay! Now I can see you and I can hear you, sir. Perfect. Okay. Now we are back in business. Not to worry.
That was painful.
Yes, I am going to delete all of that when I publish it. So, like I was saying, don't change anything, sir. Keep it exactly where you are. Please don't change anything. All right, ladies and gentlemen, please help me welcome to the Leadership and Success Podcast the one and only General Larry Wyche. All right, welcome back, General. How are you doing today, sir?
I'm doing extremely well.
Well, thank you so much for being patient. This usually doesn't happen, but it's one thing that happens when you're on a live broadcast. But this is great. Maybe to get started, sir, what is one thing that you are grateful for today?
My wife.
Yes.
My wife and my family. I mean, you know, she moved with me 25 times.
Wow.
And just to think about all the sacrifices she made when both my son and I were deployed.
Wow.
So I just truly appreciate my wife.
That is just amazing. I think we don't show much appreciation for military spouses and family. We need to do more. And this is just something about you, General, that most people may not know. Maybe a superpower or something unique about you.
Well, you know, I'm actually a quiet professional. You know, my grandfather told me something years and years ago, and I've heard it once when I was in, and this may sound a little awkward, but he said, you know, if the crows weren't so loud, they could eat all the corn.
Wow.
So I just kind of, I'm very methodical, but you know, if I don't need to be seen, I don't be seen.
Wow, that is amazing. And something about your amazing story, sir. I believe your career started at 17 years old as a private in the U.S. Army, all the way up to 3-star general. Is there something that Private Wyche had learned that is still relevant today in leadership lesson or principle that you learned?
I think the first thing is understanding why you do what you do. I can recall when my uncle returned from Vietnam. We were sitting by a pot stove heater, burning wood, and my grandfather asked him, said, "Well, now that your enlisted time is over, what are you going to do?"
Wow.
He said, "I'm going back to Vietnam." He said, "What?" I mean, you couldn't hear a pin drop in the room. It was so quiet.
Yes.
He said, "Because I want to serve my country my unit and the people that I served with needed me.
Wow.
And I was about 12 at the time, but when I turned 17, that really stuck with me.
Yes.
And that's why I went into the military. And then he looked over at me and he said, if you ever want to get a start in life, join the military. And I joined the
Wow.
Army.
That's amazing. Like we say, the rest is history. I'm sure for the junior enlisted folks and officers who watch this show, they would like to know, sir, what do you believe is the secret of your success? How did you go from the very bottom all the way to the top?
I think the secret of success is treating people like you want to be treated.
Wow.
That's, you know, I mean, we all put our pants on the same way.
Yes.
And, you know, some of us just fortunate to move up in rank because that's what God wanted us to do. Others may be an expert in us. So respect people for what they do and treat people like you want to be treated. I mean, I don't make it hard. I
Yes.
just try to make it simple as possible,
Wow.
because simple is brilliant in my
Yes.
mind.
Yes. The golden rules. Wow. And you often, like I said in the introduction, sir, you wore your sergeant rank insignia beneath your general officer uniform. What message were you trying to remind yourself of every day by doing that?
Well, you know, first of all, I frankly didn't care about ribbons or anything like that. And when I got commissioned, I can remember my professional military science. He bought all these ribbons in there and said, "Hey, we can't promote you to second lieutenant unless you have these on your chest." And at that same time, I had my E5 rank, and because that meant a lot to me, and I
Yes.
pinned it up under my collar because I had been wearing that since I was a second lieutenant.
Wow.
And the significance of that for me was that it wasn't about me. It was about the people I served.
Yes.
And so as I rose through the ranks, when I felt myself getting distance from the people that I served, I would reach up under my collar and pat it and say, "Hey,
Wow.
buddy, this is not about you. This is about the people you serve."
Amazing.
And I wore that rank from the time I was a second lieutenant till I retired as a 3-star general up
That
under my
is
lapel.
amazing. Wow. Was there a specific leader, sir, or a mentor or a moment that fundamentally changed the trajectory of your life and leadership philosophy?
Absolutely. My first battalion commander as an officer, I can recall him telling me, he said, "Larry, you and your wife can and will go a long way." And I said, "Why is that?" I asked him that question. He said, "Because you don't let grass grow under your feet." I said, "I don't quite understand that, sir." He says, "You and your wife is always trying to get better.
Yes.
And you're not going to rest on your successes. You're always striding." And when he told me that, he was absolutely right. As I reflect on it, we you know, as long as you're constantly trying to improve, to make your best better, he said you're going to have challenges, but he said just drive through those challenges, and it's going to work out. So I would say my first battalion commander, who really told me just go after it, you know, set the goal and go out there and don't let grass grow under your feet.
Wow. But sir, I must ask, you have received so many incredible awards throughout your 42-year career in the Army. And I know you don't care much about medals, but which accomplishment comes to mind that makes you the proudest?
Well,
42
I
years of
think,
service.
BZ, there's actually two. The first is personal, and that's being married to my wife,
Yes.
being God-fearing, being a good husband, a good father, and a good grandfather.
Wow.
That's on the personal side. On the professional side, it's somewhat a little funny because I can recall when I was selected for general officer, and you have to go through this charm course. And please keep in mind that I was a general officer for a number of years.
Yes.
And so when the general officer management folks came to talk to us, the lead for that organization said, "You will get investigated as a general officer. It's just a matter of time." And I
Yes.
said, whoa, it almost frightened me to want to be a general, you know.
Yes.
And, you know, to this day, and I was a general officer a long time, I know of, at least to my knowledge, of one time that I got investigated.
Wow.
And what that made me realize in my mind that my philosophy worked, that I treated people like I wanted to be treated. I never looked over my shoulder. I never looked it over my back. But people who I served with understood my left and right limits.
Wow.
You know,
That's
and
amazing.
and they understood those, and you know, if they knew John Wyche was not going that route, they said, "Hey, don't even waste your time. He's not going to do that. He's going to do the right thing."
Yes. Wow. That's
And
amazing.
so that's the professional piece of it. So
That is really powerful, sir. I'd like to get into some of the leadership lessons you've learned throughout your career, because you've led organizations ranging from small unit to a global enterprise of more than 120,000 personnel. Wow. What leadership principles remain constant regardless of the size of the organization, sir?
there's a couple. You know, the first one, you hear it all the time. You want to lead by example. You
Yes.
want to do what you be able to do what you're asking people to. That's you hear people say that all the time. You also hear people talk about trust. You know,
Yes.
you have to build and build that trust within the organization and the people. But the piece that you don't hear that's very important to me, and frankly, BZ, I did not do it well at
Mhm.
all initially, and that is clear communications.
Wow.
And it's not about writing a speech. It's
Mhm.
not about drafting a presentation. It's not about standing up and talking to a group of people. It's the ability to articulate to individuals within the organization your intent.
Wow.
What guidance do you want to get accomplished? Being
Yes.
able to communicate that very clearly.
Clarity. Wow.
Yeah, and once if you're able to do that, and they understand what you want to accomplish, and they understand the left and right limits, they will go out and conquer the world for you.
Wow. So even the most junior members of your team need to
Oh,
understand.
absolutely, because this world is so decentralized now. You have to trust those people. That, you know, one thing that I learned in Afghanistan, when I was in charge of the logistics operation over there, you got to trust the people that's on the ground.
Yeah.
They are the ones that's making it happen each and every day.
Mm.
You just got to trust them.
Powerful.
They want to do the jobs. They're not waking up in the mornings saying, "Hey, I'm gonna go ahead and fail."
Yes. Wow. Powerful. But so I definitely can see that you are a people person. You know, I guess this comes from the Army. The Navy says that too: mission first, people always. However, as you care for people, you still have to accomplish the mission of the organization. And I believe a lot of leaders sometimes struggle with balancing mission accomplishment and caring for their people. How did you approach that balance throughout your career, sir?
Well, again, I want to be very candid and honest with you, BZ, and as well as the audience. In my younger years, I didn't do that well. I just didn't, because you know it was always, I got to go get this done. I got to go get this done. I got to go
Yes.
get this done. And if you think that you're going to be successful working 40 hours a week, you're wrong.
Mm.
You're going to be successful. You're going to be comfortable, but you're going to be average.
Yes.
To really move forward you're going to have to make some sacrifices.
Mm,
And that's why it's so important to have that person with you that's willing to make that sacrifice.
yes.
And
Wow.
so, and to answer your question, to balance that, when you do have the time, it has to be quality time
Yes.
with your wife, your family, your kids. Whatever you do, it needs to be quality.
Mm,
Quality. Even if it's just going to McDonald's and getting an ice cream cone, if that's what
yes.
quality is to them and you need to do that.
Wow. But so I must ask, once you became a flag officer, so that's rank O7, did you have any misconception about people or leadership at that senior rank?
No. I didn't have any misconception. I looked at it differently than many do. And the way I looked at it, once I became a flag officer, you know, I looked at it from the standpoint that I am here to serve the people that I work with. Okay, they're not here to wait on me.
Hmm.
And see that's the difference.
Wow.
A lot, especially since I transitioned out in the corporate world. A lot of times when people achieve a certain status in life, they say to themselves, "I have arrived."
Mm,
And I'm the exact opposite. You know, when I made general officer, I said, "Now the works begin." The work
wow.
began.
That's a
Um,
complete mindset.
yeah, it's a totally different mindset. But
Yeah.
just again, that's just the way I am. It's a totally different mindset.
Wow. Because even earlier you said this used to be you as well. Many people, they really focus on task, and I think they kind of average manager. But in your experience, sir, what separate those good leaders from those who are truly exceptional?
I I think what really separates a really good leader is, obviously having the basics, um, doing the basics right. But
Mm,
I think
brilliant on the
we make
basics.
it hard from the standpoint, the common denominator to it all is people.
Yes.
You Because they are the ones that's going to make things happen for you. Don't
Mm,
don't make it hard. It's the people. I mean, when you look at this world, we know for sure that little is for sure, that the
yes.
world is unknown and it's unknowable.
Mm,
And so when you look at that, you sitting back way up here, you're not going to get things done. It is the
yes.
people on the ground. So
Wow.
you really have to focus on how do you empower those people where they know BZ is always going to be there for me.
Mm,
Uh,
that is powerful.
to me, that is the commonator, the denominator. That is the common factor. That's what's going to
Yes.
accelerate you from being good to great.
Wow. So it really takes humility, but then it really builds a lot of trust. And how do you maintain humility as you rise through the rank and you get greater responsibility and influence? What has been your secret, sir?
In regards to trust,
No, maintaining humility. Because
say
I
that
mean,
again.
what was your secret in maintaining humility as you rose up the ranks, sir? Uh,
Well, I think the key
Because especially when I
to
was enlisted, right? To me, a flag officer was almost like a demigod or something. It's like, wow, I could have never imagined even shaking a hand of a general or an admiral. But it's really something.
what I think the key to it all, BZ, you have to, at least for me, you have to remind yourself it is not about you.
Yes.
It's about the people you serve.
That's
That's
powerful.
why I wore that E5 rank under my collar
Yes.
for so many years. It really wasn't about me. It is the people that that's serving this country. I'll tell you a story that I think is so important, and I've given this at numerous speeches. When I was in charge of the logistics in Afghanistan, I flew up into the Korengal Valley, which is during that time, it was the most fought over piece of terrain between Afghanistan and the Pakistan and the terrorist groups in Pakistan. And I never forget, we had just taken over that outpost, and I flew in, and I was chatting briefly with the battalion commander. And then I said, I want to see what the soldiers need. And I went out and I started talking to them, said, what do you need? And it was one simple word that came out of their mouth: sir, we don't need nothing. We don't need nothing. We don't need anything. But I could see the weariness in their eyes from them negotiating that harsh terrain in Afghanistan. And, if you're going to Korengal Valley, it's mountainous, it's hard, it's beautiful, but it's harsh.
Yes.
And I could see the underwear in the back of one of the soldiers' pants, where he, and as well as the front, where he had negotiated the terrain. Then I looked out the corner of my eye. Somebody was burning something, and I walked up and said, "What are you burning?" And they said, "Sir, we're burning our waste." I said, "You're burning your waste?" And he said, "Sir, we're doing it for sanitary reasons. We're on this mountaintop, and it's all right." I said, "Well, what do you need? What do you need?" They said, "Sir, we need nothing." Lo and behold, when I was walking back to my helicopter, a soldier asked me, he walked over to me, he said, "Sir, there is one thing you can do for me." And, when he started to ask that question, 1,000 things went in my mind about, hey, he could ask me getting off this mountain, et cetera, et cetera.
Yes.
Guess what he asked me? He said, "Sir, with the holidays coming up, do you think you can get us some pecan pies?"
Wow.
And I just want you to think about the all that he was doing. They were doing. All he wanted for the holidays was some pecan pies.
Wow.
And so we end up giving them the opposite of pecan pies and uniforms. But that kind of ties back into your question, BZ. So
that is really something, sir. Before we run out of time, I do want to talk about your current book, and you're going to make an announcement about an upcoming book as well. But shirts off our back, boots off our feet. Why did you have to write this book, sir?
Well, a couple of reasons. I was giving a speech, and a young lady said, "You older than us." And I was giving a speech up in Chicago, and she said, "You have," and she asked, "Could you get some of these stories in writing somewhere?" I said, "No, I really don't." She said, "Well, you owe us, sir." And I kind of looked at her. I said, "I owe you?" And she said, "You have to tell a story." So I ended up writing the book, and it's more focused on two things. It's a leadership book, but I use lessons learned with my experience as being a logistician and a supply chain guy. And I end up writing the book of, at the end of the day, leadership can enable supply chain operations, and for that matter, anything. So that's how I end up writing the book.
And we're going to talk more about.
Oh, and plus, my wife said I need to find something to do.
That is great. We are going to talk more about the book. So since you are an expert in logistics, something just came in the news. It was a couple of days ago. A former Navy veteran, I think she was a lieutenant commander. She is now a Pentagon correspondent for MS now, or MSNBC. She came up with the story about what is happening with the USS Abraham Lincoln right now in the Middle East. But basically, they are running out of soap, and they are having a lot of logistic trouble over there. I think it's the longest ship deployed in Navy history so far. But anyway, you do not have to comment on this here. It is current affairs, but just, I guess, at the strategic level, at a very high level, what could the services do just to ensure the welfare of soldiers, in this case, Marine and sailors, being deployed and fighting our wars, but really not being able to receive what most Americans would think are basic necessity just for welfare and well-being?
Well, I can't speak to exactly what's happening because I don't. This is the first I've heard of this, and I look at the news daily. Look and read the news daily. But the only thing that I would say is that we just have to do our job. You know, we're gonna whatever the problem is, we'll figure it out and we'll get it fixed real fast.
Yes.
But at the end of the day, I'll you know, we're gonna make sure we take care of our soldiers and sailors and airmen and Marines.
Well, that is really powerful, sir. And if people read your book, and if I can remember only one lesson after finishing it, what do you hope it is, sir?
I think the lesson they have to learn from the book is that it's not always about the nugget. It's about providing the picks and shovels for the nuggets. Supply chain is behind the scenes stuff.
Yes.
Stuff just don't fall out the sky. There is a strategy for you receiving food. There is a strategy for you receiving ammunition. There is a strategy for you receiving the barrier equipment. So I would say make sure that you understand the shovel, the shovels and the rakes and all that stuff behind the scene. Because at the end of the day, you got to buy the picks and shovel to find the nugget.
Wow, that is powerful.
Yeah.
Well, I guess another question about your book, sir, is many people think logistics is simply moving supply, right, from point A to point B. What do you believe logistics is actually fundamentally about leadership?
Well, I think the first is a very complicated. It is a complicated field. I think the first thing you have to do is understand that the supply chain can have a significant impact on an organization's bottom line. And if you do it right, you can truly get that competitive advantage.
Yes.
You know, think about the Amazons. You know, what they did during COVID, et cetera, et cetera. So having said that, I think the first thing that you have to do in the supply chain, you have to see it. And it's not just seeing it, but seeing it, understanding it, and accepting it at the strategic level, the operational, and the tactical level. And you have to understand the hidden choke points as you transition from the strategic to operational, and from the tactical, from operational. You have to understand those hidden things that will truly cause you to culminate. And then once you can see it, the key is this is my opinion. But this is 45 years of experience talking too.
Yes, sir.
So then you have to understand the flow of goods and the reporting process, how you're controlling the information.
Wow.
And so you clearly have to understand the flow of goods. Then you have to understand the flow of the information. How are you getting the information? And finally, I would say it's not, you have to understand your first tier suppliers. That's understandable, but it's equally as important that you understand the risks associated with your second and third tier suppliers.
Yes.
Because that's where you have the challenge at. It's the second and third tier suppliers. And it's not one level, but it's all three levels.
That is really insightful, yeah, because most people think you just move stuff from point A to point B.
Oh no, it doesn't fall out the sky.
It's one of those things where when it's working, nobody thinks about it. But the moment, like I was mentioning the USS Abraham Lincoln as an example, the moment people can get their soap, they cannot get water or food or whatever it might be, then logistics becomes priority number one. It's crazy. And something you've said, sir, is logistics wins war. That is quite a statement. How can business leaders listening right now apply the same principle inside their organization?
I think the key to success is number one is accepting that the supply chain can have an impact on your competitive advantage. Your supply chain leader / logistician have to have a vote at the table. That just it's a must. It's a must. And then once you accept that and let them do their job, your organization is going to be better off. And I could get into the details, but I won't get into the details. But they're going to be better off.
Yes. Wow.
Let that logistician do their job. Let them do their job. You give them the left and right guidance. From a business perspective, make sure you have the right tools in place, because see what I found, BZ, is that many of our second and third providers still use spreadsheets. You can't do that in this global environment.
Yes.
You just can't do that. It's all about being able to make quick and accurate decisions with minimum amount of information.
That is something. But also reading your book, sir, I get the sense, how should leader balance efficiency with resilience? In today's world, organization must be lean, but they also have to be prepared for disruption, right?
That is a very, very good question. I think the first thing you have to do is understand your organization, and what is your risk tolerance. You see what I'm saying?
Yes.
What are you willing to accept risk in? What are you not willing to accept risk in? So when you look at efficiency, it's all about cost. What is it going to cost me to do this? And so you really have to understand, because if it's going to cost you, the cost costs you to build resiliency.
Yes.
And so you have to figure out what is your appetite for risk. Okay. And the more you can spend, if you spend on the right things, the less you will have, less challenges you'll have with risk.
Yes.
So you really have to know your organization, and then you have to be able to understand what is my risk tolerance, what is my appetite for risk, and that's how you really balance the two.
Wow, that is really quite powerful. And when your current book was published, sir, that was before many of today's supply chain disruption and geopolitical conflicts like war in Iran, Ukraine, and all of that. But there's been a lot of rapid advancement, especially in artificial intelligence and other emerging tech. If you were writing the book today, what new chapter would you add, sir?
I would say, you have to figure out how artificial intelligence can add value to your organization to assist you in getting and maintaining that competitive advantage.
Yes.
In other words, how does artificial intelligence allow you to make a faster decision, probably with less information?
Yes.
Based off its research, its ability to research.
That is really something, because you just mentioned earlier, now is no longer the time to be using spreadsheets, right? We are completely different era now. Now, with artificial intelligence transforming pretty much every area, including logistics and decision making, where do you see AI creating the greatest opportunities today? And at the same time, where should leaders kind of be cautious when it comes to AI?
Ask that question one more time, BZ.
Where do you see artificial intelligence creating the greatest opportunities for organizations today?
I think there's a lot of discovery still out there with artificial intelligence. And me being a professional supply chain expert, I think the first thing for me with artificial intelligence is, how can it allow me to get that competitive advantage? So the first thing that I would ask myself, I would focus on my suppliers. Okay, do I have the right suppliers?
Yes.
If I don't have the right suppliers, can you help me identify the right suppliers?
Mhm.
See, artificial intelligence can help you do that. But
Yes.
the key to artificial intelligence is knowing what type of artificial intelligence. So you got some artificial intelligence that strictly focus on research.
Mm-hmm.
Then you got others that help you write an email, et cetera, et cetera. So getting the right tool within artificial intelligence is good, and it's kind of like the book Good to Great. Then getting
Yes.
them in the right seat is important as you get them on the bus. So
True.
and that for supply, understanding your suppliers, understanding the risks associated with your suppliers, whether it's a tier 1 supplier, whether it's a tier 2 or tier 3 supplier. You have to understand all of those things. And then you have to tie it back to understanding the workflow, and can you see? So it all ties in together.
Yes.
BZ, if that makes sense.
Absolutely. And as a leader, you only know what you know, right? But how can a leader prepare their organization for disruption they cannot predict today? How do you prepare for the unpredictable?
That is that's another great question. And so what I would say, what you have to do is you have to identify a decision-making process that works for you.
Mm-hmm.
I can recall when I was going through my advanced course, I thought I would be a good company commander because I was prior service, et cetera, et cetera. So I did not focus on being a battalion commander. I was worried about getting my master's degree. And during the break, I walked up to one instructor and said, what do I need to do to get my master's degree? Man, I got the worstest butt chewing I ever got. He said,
Wow.
learn the best thing you can do is learn the military decision-making process. He said, I want you to go home, put this on your refrigerator. I want you to put it
Yes.
everywhere in the house that you can, and I want you to learn it like the back of your hand. Well, needless to say, I was kind of pissed off at him, saying, who he think he's talking to? But he was right. And I was a good soldier, and I did what he did. And I learned that process like the back of my hand, because at the end of the day, BZ, you're not going to have all of the information you need to make the right decision. The
True.
world isn't like that. So if you understand that process, what is the problem? What are the assumptions I make? What are the key facts? What options do I have? 9 times out of 10, you're going to make the right decision. So I would say in times of uncertainty, especially now, with the world being unknown and unknowable, you
Yes.
have to understand how to make the right decisions. And you do that by having a good decision-making process that you're comfortable with.
Wow. And in your book, sir, you do have 12 chapters from why do this, and the last one, like a duck. Was there a chapter that was more challenging for you to write, sir?
Yeah, I think the challenging for me to write the one that I talk about the interaction with Congress and understanding the money, because
Yes.
we at a young age we don't do that a lot. So as I became more senior, I learned that.
Mm-hmm.
And so you want to write it in such a way where you can you can articulate that to the young soldier that's coming up through the ranks, or the young employee coming through the ranks. Hey, this is how the money really works. So
Yes.
that probably was the biggest challenge for me to write that particular chapter. The other ones was fairly easy.
Wow. So to end with the book, sir, if you were writing a second edition, it looks like you are in the process now. I believe the publisher has your next book. Is there a leadership lesson that would receive the greatest emphasis for your next book?
Well,
And
well, I'm not going to. I want to make sure I'm clear here. The book that you have, I do plan on writing a second edition, but the book that I'm writing now is really a first edition, and that book is the name of it is called Supply Chain Success.
Supply chain success.
And it's called Lessons Learned and Insights for Mid-Level Leaders, Senior Executives, and Board Directors.
Wow.
I've lived through every one of them, and I'm still going through it. And it focuses in on the top lessons that I truly think that at the various levels that each leader needs to focus on, and what will cause them to choke, an organization to choke, or what is their culminating point. And it talks about how to identify those and how to get ahead of those particular actions in those 12 points. And then the good news, I don't leave you hanging. There's a workbook that goes with it that focus on their organization, where they can do an internal assessment.
Wow.
And then it's all about making their organization better. And it really, at the end of the day, it assists a unit in how do I make my best better? How do I build that resiliency to allow me to get that competitive advantage? That's what the book's all about, BZ.
Powerful. Well, guys, you've heard it from the first time on the Leadership and Success podcast. And when is the book going to be released, sir? Is that going to be January of next year?
Yeah, it'll be the first week of January, because we didn't want to compete with the holidays, and we looked at for the marketing activity will probably kick off in November timeframe.
Wow, sure to become an instant bestseller. So I'm gonna have to ask, would you please come back probably in December or November when the pre-orders are out, so that we may talk exclusively about your second book, sir? That would be great.
Absolutely. I'd be happy to do that, BZ.
All right, we only have a couple of minutes left. I usually don't keep any flag officer longer than the time we've agreed, but really quickly, this is going to be rapid fire. So first thought that comes through your mind, sir. What is one of the best leadership books you've ever read? Not one that you have written, but
good to great.
Good to great. Yeah, we've already got that one. One leader you wish you could have dinner with?
Dr. Martin Luther King.
MLK. Most important habit of successful leader?
The most what?
Important habit of a successful leader?
To me, the most is just treat people like you want to be treated.
Okay, one word that defines success to you?
Vision.
And what's the piece of advice you received decades ago that still guides you today?
The one piece of advice, again, it always goes back to treating people like you want to be treated.
I knew that. Okay, complete this sentence, sir. Leadership is?
Leadership is leading by example for others to follow.
All right, this is going to be the final question, sir, and thank you so much for your time today. When your grandchildren and the leaders you mentored tell stories about Larry Wyche 50 years from today, what do you hope they say about the way you led, the way you served, and the way you treated people?
It's amazing you say that, BZ, because it's almost describes me. I think the first thing I want people to say, he was a God-fearing man. That's the first thing I want them to say. I want them to be able to say he was a good husband, a good father, and a grandfather. And after that, I really don't care.
And sir, a comment, I think you may know him, Joe Booker, say, sir, thanks for the military transition advice you gave me. I do know Joe. Time well spent, yeah. And we have another person, I believe you know him too, Rafael Lavena, know him from PDA.
I do know Rafael.
You know, Lynch is just fabulous, also author of a great book. Well, sir, I must ask you one last question, because you mentioned your spouse so many times, especially in the military. It's so difficult. We've been married now, my wife and I, 25 years, if you can believe it. What is the secret to your marital success, sir? Why have you been married for such a long time, especially in the military?
Talking to one another. And I can tell you a story that will blow your mind. It's my cornbread story. I won't get into it now.
Okay. Let's keep that for November or December when your next book is out. Thank you so much for your time, sir. Is there any other words of wisdom you would like to leave, especially my junior enlisted and officer who are listening right now?
No, I'm here if you want to talk anytime. So
Outstanding. And of course, everybody, you can follow the General. Is accessible on LinkedIn. Actually, I was surprised when I reached out to you. You actually replied like within a couple of days. I'm like, oh my goodness. And so linkedin.com in Larry Wyche. Very, very easy to remember. And I understand, sir, your website, we're not going to publish it now, but it's going to be revamped for your I'm
revamping my website. I'm revamping my LinkedIn to accommodate this second book that I didn't think I was going to do, but I decided to do it.
What a great honor and privilege to be speaking to the man, the myth, the legend, the one and only Lieutenant General Larry Wyche. Thank you so much for your wisdom today, sir. We really appreciate that.
God bless you. You take care.
Thank you for tuning in to the Leadership and Success Podcast with your host, Coach BZ. If today's episode added value to your leadership journey, be sure to subscribe, share, and join us again for more wisdom nuggets on how to lead better and achieve greater success. Remember, leadership is the most critical skill of our time. The world will always need leaders to inspire others, drive innovation, and execute meaningful strategy. So why not count yourself among the bold leaders shaping the 21st century? Until next time, stay inspired, stay committed, and keep leading with excellence.